And that's when I had this heart failure.
Our industry is known for that. There's no loyalty. Everybody can start a roofing company, and a lot of people in sales, go work for other competitors, what's not.
Literally had to cut the apex of my heart off, and I lived on a heart pump for 3 years.
You're a freaking single dad. Raising 3 kids as a single dad while running top 40 company sounds nearly impossible.
I've been betrayed by so many people that I'm like, great, what's this person want? You know what
I mean? Garen, take me back all the way to the beginning when you took over Shamrock. What was the first version of Shamrock for you, and did you ever thought you'll build it to a $70 million company?
So, no, I didn't. I first thought I took it over. My dad passed away, and my mom asked me what I wanted to do with the company. Like, should we dissolve the company, or what? And I said, no, Mom, I'm going to take it over, and I'm going to take it to the moon. And prior to that, I had a software background, and so I was used to growing organizations, and I was growing Shamrock, right, to like 5 people, 7 people, and it was growing, right, and we got to about 5 million, and that's when I had this heart failure, and so it went from taking it over from my dad in 2016, from him dying of cancer, from being nothing, to then I had this heart failure where they literally had to cut the apex of my heart off, and I lived on a heart pump for 3 years where I didn't have a heartbeat, I didn't have a pulse, just a blood flow to keep my organs alive while I waited for a heart for 3 years. And I worked for 3 years with a cord hanging out of me and batteries that I'd put in my sides so that I could look like I was normal, but I really wasn't normal because I was living on a heart pump with no heartbeat. And the team that was there at 2018 left me for dead. Most of them were like, this guy's sick, he's not gonna make it. And this one guy, Tom McMahon, stayed by my side and said, hey, I'm gonna help you. And at that time, Paul Reed came out and said, hey, Garen, I'm gonna come help you and talk to your guys. And they sent me out there, and they came out and to help uplift the team with Tom. So I'm forever grateful for Paul and Kim. And then I finally got the heart call in 2020, and I got my transplant. But the team had grown through that process of me being in and out of the hospital that whole time, and the team continued to grow and surrounding me and seeing me lead with no heartbeat. And they're like, man, if this guy's out there climbing on roofs and knocking, like, there's no excuse for me not to be out there. But it was like, I was all in. I'm a single dad, and my kids, and I had to perform for them. Like, I didn't have, there was no trust fund. There's no money for me. I had to, and so I worked nonstop with no heart, for that amount of time. And that culture around us was built on like caring and love, and the fact that death is knocking on everybody's door, and we're going to do this together. And we grew it together, and then we started opening up markets, and that helped with the growth. And then I started seeing the vision of now, yes, we're at 70, but then I didn't think that taking it to the moon meant 70, but now I'm like looking at 250,000, as the vision of like Shamrock actually being the platform to grow to 250,000. But no, when I started and took it over, I was merely like just trying to rebrand it, market it, start from scratch, healing from losing my dad, who was my best friend, and that's why I think I poured it all into it, because and I said I want to take it over out of honor for him. So
Wow. Very powerful.
yeah.
Heart transplant is not something most CEOs carry. How did that change the way you lead and the way you value your time?
So the value of the time is crucial, right? But the way I lead with the heart transplant, I mean, it gave me a new perspective on life and about everybody, right? I care about everybody, and I want to help everybody. And as we toured the office, you heard a lot of people. Yes, he gives back to a lot of people, and I do. And I got betrayed by a lot of people in that process too, right? But I learned that we're so interconnected the way we are, and it's like I wasn't like I was on near death. Like I think I like died a couple times during that process, right? And so the perspective is, I'm living these extra innings of life to let my light shine for the world, right? And impact others through Shamrock. It's like a marketplace ministry of sorts, like a second chance for people to grow, and carry that light into the community. That's why we do so much we give the scholarships away. We give the roofs for heroes. We give the cars for heroes. We are constantly just giving back to the communities. So that's a representation of who we are as a business and how we are out in the community.
You mentioned, you said this word, betrayal. You've been betrayed. How often does it happen, and how hard is it for you to pour into people, to give back? And then our industry is known for that. There's no loyalty. Everybody can start a roofing company, and a lot of people in sales, go work for other competitors. What's not? Everybody's bribing salespeople.
Right.
You relocate someone, you invest in someone, and then leave, steal jobs from you.
Right.
What is it?
So the betrayal is the hardest thing, because you can only be betrayed by somebody that's in your inner circle or you care about. And some betrayals are harder than others. Like I poured into some people and helped them out, and and then to be betrayed by that, it's painful. And what I've found was I'm trying to not care as much, but so that it doesn't hurt so bad, because it hurts. And then I'm working on forgiveness, right? Like, because you got to forgive to be able to go on, but like some of these are like $1 million mistakes, and I have to take ownership on the mistakes sometimes, because like maybe I shouldn't have trusted that person that much.
Do you have a therapist you go to with your problems?
Well, I do have a guy I talk to, but I just found another lady. She's like does counseling for businesses, because as a Christian, right, we have the strong belief, but then you live in this business world, right, where it's like, how do the two coexist? Almost, right? Because somebody messes up and you got to kind of get on them like hard, right? But I don't think Jesus was a hippie and just like he was like flipping over tables, and he was a powerful dude, you know what I mean? And so I'm working on that balance so that I can, because I don't want to be. I'm pretty stern.
I love that answer. Not only Jesus, but Peter, apostles, all of them, they were tough.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to speak up. Sometimes you have to straighten people.
Yeah.
I want to change direction a little bit and talk about your leg. You broke your leg on the job. Walk me through that day and what it taught you about the risk your crews take every single morning.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was up on a ladder and had a position right and everything, but the ladder was got in some wood rot, and it just started digging into the side of the house and sliding. And I'm like on there, and it's going down. I'm going down, and I jump. So I jump off so I don't get entangled in the ladder. But I jumped off and I landed on my feet. But it was such a high impact. Both my bones just shot out the side of my leg, and my leg fell over. The ladder flipped over like this, and I leaned forward and I like cracked my ribs, and it flew me back like 20 feet. So I'm laying there, and my leg's been out, and the bone shot through my muscle on my leg, so it's kind of stopping the blood from going out. And yeah, and it went in the dirt, and then I'm going to the hospital, and they're like, Garen, we got to amputate. We got to cut your leg off. There's no way to save it because it was such a high impact. I got 2 inches of bone that just disintegrated. And I'm like, you got to be able to help me. Please fix my leg. Don't cut my leg off. And because I was a runner, I like to run, and I was healthy and work out. And but they were like, well, we'll try, but there's no chance that your leg's going to save. And besides that, the bone came out and it went in the dirt, and so you're just going to have infection. And so, and they were right. I had 2 titanium plates and 17 screws, and then it got infected, and the infection got bound around the metal. And so then, 5 surgeries later, they're opening it back up, scrubbing it, trying to clean it out, and I'm on this, I got a PICC line hanging out of my arm, so every night I'm having to do this, medicine to keep me safe. And so the risk is it's the most dangerous job. And so that's why, yes, getting back up on the ladder and on a roof after that, I broke out in like a cold sweat, like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get up there. And I got back on the roof. But the crews, that's why I'm so careful about them. Harness up. Even my guys, like, be careful, because it's real risk, real danger, and people fall off roofs. I mean, it's a real thing.
Here's my, like, you're a hero to me. I'm married. I have 5 beautiful kids. My wife has the hardest job on planet Earth, being a mother. I always tell everyone, like, our wives work harder than us. You're a freaking single dad. Raising 3 kids as a single dad while running top 40 company sounds nearly impossible. How do you hold the balance between the two? And what's harder?
Yeah. So,
raising kids or building this?
It's I'm stern here, and then at home, people are like, you're a completely different person. Like, you're a pushover.
My kids bully me every day, dude.
Yeah. And so I've been blessed. They've been through so much with me, from my dad passing away through then me being sick, and they were at Aspen and Aiden were a little bit older, so and they have a mom, right? And so they were there to help them, and so they play sports, what have you. Abby, she doesn't. I'm all she has, and she was there all the time through me, and she was this little caretaker. I used to always go say prayers with her at night and tuck her in. After I got sick, she'd come into my office. Daddy, do you need or off the bed? Daddy, do you need anything before you go? And would check on me. And this is like when she's 8, and I'm like, so she's just always just been through this whole process, and it's like, where like most kids, I'd get to might ask me, she had to play soccer. Where Abby, she didn't get to grow up like that. And so the balance of the two is, I've sacrificed spending time with them so that I could work here and perform to make money so I can pay for them, when all they want is really me to be spending time with them. And so that's really what I'm reflecting now. And for my older 2, it's like, not as too late, but they're off to college already, so I don't get to see them that much. And so the house is a lot quieter. It's just Abby, and it's her and I. And so it used to, like, all the noises would like bother me sometimes. I just want to be quiet. But now it's just her, and so I've come to like I love the noise of the kids, the dogs, of the all the noise, because I'm thinking like when she leaves, it's going to be eerily quiet around here, and so I don't know how well of a job I've done balancing the two. You know, I ask them, they tell me, Dad, you're doing a great job. But if you'd ask them, they'd say, yeah, you're always working, Dad. I mean, they know they come see me. I'm in the office at home, and you know, so I'm just trying to do my best to keep somewhat of a balance on that.
You've been through a lot, man. And my next question is, what was the lowest moment in this whole thing? What maybe the one where you genuinely thought about walking away and quitting?
I would have to say this last November, last year, like I hit $72 million, right? And then last year went down to 58. I'd gone through this. I was in a relationship, and this deal fell apart. This guy in Colorado had opened this up. He'd betrayed me, and left me with these two markets that I'm trying to manage from afar, because it's not like our business model. We usually open up models 3 hours away so that we can manage them quickly and easily. You know, and this is in Denver, so it's 12 hours away. And I'm like, you know, at that point in time, I'm like, you know, what do I have left to prove? You know, I don't have anything to prove. You know, let someone come in who wants to take it over and run it, right? And so I prayed about it, because the other thing was like, you know, I can't even have a relationship because I'm married to the business, right? And that's not fair to the relationship, right? Because I'm like, I've got to hire, you know, a president, because Tom retired on, you know, and the guy that stayed with me when everyone left me, and so I've got to bring in a president so I can step back and run the companies, and hire a chief of staff and a president so I can sit back and I can live a more quality of life. So it wasn't that that thought came to my mind, but it wasn't a thought like it was a fleeting thought, but it was more like how can I restructure this? Like, Lord, come in and help me, because I've got so much stuff going on. I've got, you know, the Trussy, I've got Shamrock, I've got these buildings, I've got 250 1099 and W-2 employees, and I got 450 subcontractors, and let's just say they have a wife or a significant other and one kid. That's about 2,000 people that I'm responsible for feeding.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and so, but I also know, like, they love me. They care about me. They love their jobs here. They like, the crews love working for Shamrock. I mean, you know, and so it's like, while I don't want to walk away, I mean, I left my fingerprints are all over the place, but I am looking to continue to grow, like to $250 million, but through a couple acquisitions, you know. But I've done this all alone with no investor, not $1, not a partner. And so I'm at that point where I'm ready at this point, because I do want to be able to back away. I want to spend some time more with my kids before, you know, I got 2 more years before she's off to college. So, you know, all of the success, or, you know, it's not worth it if you don't have time for your family, which is what they want. They want you. They don't want things or whatever.
Yes, sir. That's actually exactly what I'm going through right now with my kids. My 15-year-old told me, Dad, you have 3 years with me. And when they start saying those things, you're like, I don't want this. Like, I want to be home
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, brother. Who believed in you early back when there was no reason why? You mentioned people walked away,
Yeah.
some people stayed.
Yeah. Tom, Tom, Tom stayed.
What motivated him? Why did he stay?
You know, I think because I believed in him, and I showed him. He'd come off of a hard divorce, and you know, he had a business that was installing windows, and it had failed or something happened, you know, and I believed in him, and I think that just my faith in him, right, it was reciprocated back. And um, when he came, and he helped started building people, you know, there was a couple others. Um, Amy, she stayed, and there was, other than that, and that's who kind of kept me going. And then we started hiring more project managers, and
It's funny when something happens, how many people actually leave you or like not around. I thought 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I thought I have so many friends when I was doing conference, you know, like I thought I have 100 industry friends. 3 years later, maybe three, four, if that.
yeah, and I st- I'm naturally like, I like going out and talking to people, and but I'm really like an introvert now, like, and I'm a recluse because like I feel like people like, hey, can I get some money? Hey, can I get a favor? Everyone's angling on me for something. I mean, and so I'm like, I'm just going to hang out at my house, you know, and and with my daughter and a few selective friends, because I, you know, and I know that they're not all that way. I've just been hurt. I've been betrayed by so many people that I'm like, great, what's this person want? You know what I mean? And I feel like that. And so I think that goes back to do you have a counselor? Like, and I used to think that going to a counselor or talking to someone was weak. You know, I grew up that way. But then I thought, you know, people have personal trainers to be better personal trainers. People have financial advisors to be better financial advisors. So why would, you know, what's the difference between that? Why wouldn't I want to have a mental, you know, somebody to help, like a leader activator to help unlock your mental model to go to the next step?
Absolutely. Um, what does the industry assume about your story that's flat out wrong?
What do they assume about my story? Maybe that I inherited this business and I'm just growing a business that was already established, and I'm just, you know, second generation, easy peasy.
Perception is there. Like when I look at the Shemrock, I thought it does look like business that's been around for like 40 years.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't realize until today that it's only been 10 years.
yeah,
I also thought you were bigger and longer. Yeah, wow.
yeah.
In the grind years, what did success look like in your head, and have that definition changed today?
It did. It went through phases. Like the growing years, it was like, I'm a Class A general contractor. It was about craftsmanship. It was about, you know, it was that
Take
type.
pride in your job.
Take pride in your jobs, and it still is, you know. And then it got to um, a revenue number. Let's get to this, you know. Let's get to $10 million, you know. But I was still this, you know, like critical. That job's not done right. They missed this here, and you know, and then it went to from the craftsman, the tradesman, to the businessman, to, you know, to growing to now now I got a whole behemoth of a business, and to where it's like my job is balancing out production and back office and operations and keeping customers happy. You know, it's a completely different success at this point. Success is like I'm a counselor to all of these different people to make sure that it runs smoothly.
So true. Like, I actually think that a lot of problems in the industry with the judging each other, it comes from exactly that. So like when company grows and becomes a giant big company, you know, 200-300 million, all the small guys like, oh, they doing bad job, they're not caring about quality, right?
Yeah.
And usually, like when you start, you want to be like the best roofer, the best, but no roof is perfect. Like
Right.
everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
If I go, I tell roofers all the time, like when I have meetings, I said, I promise you this, every single one of you put shitty roofs. If I go on your job and you lift the shingles, you all have high nails, you all have something, because roofs are not perfect. We get away with it because it doesn't leak,
Right.
you know, for the most part.
Right.
But we are not cabinet makers, we're not painters.
Agreed.
You know, paint that wall and,
Right.
and give homeowner blue
Right.
tape and
Yeah.
you'll see.
Yeah.
Like, what would happen if your roof will be inspected by manufacturer with the blue tape? I mean, come on, like.
Right.
But we all judge big companies, and now you probably are judged by smaller guys.
I'm judged by smaller guys nonstop. I mean, our guys, like, they don't even like putting out signs, because they put out signs, someone will come out behind them because they know we charge deductibles. They'll come up behind us and they'll hey, we know that you're charging deductibles or whatever the case may be, and then try to steal the job that way. So yeah.
Where does your drive come from on the days when you have nothing left in the tank, when you're tired? What's your reason why today?
I would say my kids and the team that have been here and put it in for me when they didn't have nothing in the tank. So my kids and the team, that's the drive.
If you would sit in front of you 10 years ago, what would you warn that person about? What would you warn about Shamrock today, what we don't see?
10 years ago, I'd be worrying about, well, it's still payroll, right? It's cash flow all the time. But I mean, I still worry about it. It's just completely on a major different scale.
Yeah.
Because we as a roofing company, we take a lot of risk. We risk physical risk on a roof, and we pay all the labor, and we pay all the materials, right? And so, and then we get paid. We're the last to get paid. So we're like gambling on the homeowner that they're going to pay us, so that we can make our profit to pay to pay everybody. Unless you're getting paid 100% up front, but that doesn't. I don't know many roofing companies that get paid 100% up front.
100%. So every roofing company looks polished from the outside, and you're doing a good job. Like your offices, everything I see is picture perfect, right? What actually happening behind the curtain that Shamrock that nobody sees?
I think that I'll give you an example. Yesterday, we went to go look at some jobs, and they had like OSB up for side protection on the houses, and they had some tarps on over the shrubs and stuff, but they weren't set up with the catch-alls and the smart tarps. And I've got all the catch-alls and all the smart tarps for every single job, right? So it's like constantly with production or with project managers, be there on your job sites, making sure that they're all set up, and we went around, drove around 3 ourselves, and I'm asking, so then I come back and ask production, what's going on? Where's our QC guys? Well, they were in Colorado Springs moving all the furniture up because we closed that office because they're moving up to Des Moines. Well, they're 12 hours away, and I've got, you in town, we're going to be doing, videos. And so even as big of a company as you are, we have to scale with the seasonality of business, right? Because you don't want to get too big and too top heavy because you got winter coming. And so but yet like this year we got hit with a bunch of storms, right? But yet I'm still apprehensive about hiring too many people, because then you gotta.
Well, you have to maintain equality, and even as we walk in the office today, I've talked to your accounts payable person, and she said that she can accounts receivable. She said that she cannot collect the bill because they broke rows or whatever, right? And I'm like, this company really cares. You buy all the catch-alls, people not using the catch-all. The whole value proposition there is like protect your garden, and now we know that your crews are not using it. So no matter what you have, no matter what the intent is, this stuff is never perfect. But is it because of the size? Does it come with the size? Is it such a thing as too big in a roofing space to maintain that quality? Is it what everybody, all the small guys talking about?
I think so. I mean, you see, there's not very many guys my size that are independent, that are, that haven't been rolled up yet. So I think it is that you can get too big, or you got to have your systems in place and more people, but then you got to carry them all the way through the wintertime. Or you have to have, and then so what I've done was, then I opened up offices down south to offset the seasonality from up north. But I went to Texas, and in Texas, there's no license. It's a free for all. The margins aren't really there. Some people do okay, but it's a completely different animal down there. And we did all right, but like that, going down south, even in the wintertime, still not enough business to offset this size of a organization. So we try to run a lean, tight ship, but when you get that big, you still got to be able to manage. Then the project managers need to do a lot, right? And they've been really blessed. They've got a lot of jobs. They're working on selling the job. They need a project manager job. Most project managers don't have a whole team of a supply house with a team of QC people that go around and pick up their extra materials and go around and set up smart tarps. So I'm just going to say it. My project managers got lazy and complacent and happy and fat, and I pay it very well. And I'm a project manager at heart, and I'm on every single Saturday morning sales meeting, and I'm there for them, right? And I'm also motivating them. But like this month, like we're down on our numbers from our forecast, and I went ahead and instead of getting on to them, I ordered a food truck, a taco truck, so that we could have food, and like, hey guys, we're only down in numbers because we've been building so many roofs, and they've been project managing. So while I said they're complacent, I also recognize the fact that they've done such an amazing job in the past several months. So that's why I bought the food truck, to encourage them, to feed them, to be able to, put their orders in.
I also feel it's a problem of United States and all developed countries with the capitalism in general. What I mean by that is we get like humans, in my observation, I'm even talking about immigrants like myself, once we have our needs met, like your basic needs, right? Like let's say you make 100,000 a year. So now you don't need a car, you don't need a housing, you have food on your table, right? I feel like it's super hard for a guy like you and me motivate someone to make 200, 300,000. People kind of like, if you're desperate, if you need a car, if you want a bigger house, like whatever, you'll work harder. Once you meet basic, like give me opportunity, give me more appointments, more leads, like I got it. Like who works the hardest is a sales rep and a roofer, by the way, too. Early in the season, in March, you have everybody at your door. And I remember when I was running a company, in October, you have to beg your crews to work. It's not about money anymore. You can make more money. And they're like, oh, no, that roof is too tough. and they walk away. They
Yes.
don't walk away on the jobs in March.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So it changes. Like, so that capital is because we have opportunity to make money. But once you do meet certain level, it's what motivates people. How do you motivate someone to make more?
Yeah, it's the carrot or the stick, you know.
But it can't be about money. That's the problem. If you do what you do because of the money, you will stop when your financial minimums are met.
Right.
But if you do it to help out, to help the homeowner, to help boss, company,
Right.
you're not gonna stop.
Right, and you can definitely tell, like in the team of who the project managers are that keep going, just because the love of the game. They love to help, and they're going to keep going. And then you got all these people that just get complacent, and they basically lay down because they got enough already. And so what I've done is, I like hiring people with their PhD, poor, hungry, and driven. If they come to me poor, hungry, and driven, I'm going to teach them how to make $100,000 a year. And because even though they're complacent and they're tired, the leads are still coming in. I mean, I'm right here off I-35, million cars coming by. I mean, and I have a brand reputation, quality that we need to keep getting out there. So that's why I having to.
I don't want to push back. I'm pushing back on myself too. Do you think we are being hypocrites ourselves? Because, you know, as a business owners, we always talk about work-life balance. Don't work your life away. Spend more time with the kids. And here we are, you know, complaining that people become complacent, don't want to, right? Like, because I do see this new generation. You know, I have videographers who wanted to work 4 days a week. I'm like, what do you like? They're like, I only work Monday through Thursday. I see people want to do 3-day work week. I'm like, how can you not work 5 days a week at the minimum, right? Because it's satisfying, but at the same time, like,
I do. I mean, unfortunately, we're hypocrites, right? Like I say, I want to be with family, right? Like, but we're at where we want to be, where we're at, right? At the end of the day, right?
but then you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I tell my wife all the time, like, I don't want to travel, but here I am on a trip because someone have to do it.
Right.
Like, this is the best. Like, can we do it over Zoom? Yeah, but it's never going to be the same.
Right. The interpersonal connection is real.
So what's the solution? Is it hiring more people and having work them less? Like, would you rather have 10 sales reps making $1 million each, or 5 sales guys making $2 million each? You know,
I think more reps from my experience, because just this job, construction, you're in the sun, it's 120 something degrees on the roofs. It wears you out. Like, you know, they'll say, oh, I'm on beast mode, I'm this, I can overcome that. Whatever. Time and heat and weather, it all wears you down. And so having multiple people, you one, it's a marathon, not a sprint. These guys want to sprint and do all this, but you have to have multiple people to keep it going. And so I have like markets like St. Louis this year didn't get hit by anything, you know, so they're struggling, and they're like, they're reminding Shamrock, like, guys, you know, we're over here starving. My St. Louis, our markets talk to each other, and, you know, they banter back and forth. They have competitions between each other. And, you know, so they're over there telling them how lazy, you know, the Kansas City guys are, because we're only at this phase in the year. We were twice that this time last year. So it's good energy, you know, competition.
At your scale, lawsuits come with the territory. What legal fights have you dealt with already, and what's happening right now?
Legal fights. So one, what I'm dealing right now with is I've let a lot of things slide in the past, but when people have, I'm going after companies that have, if I've had a contract with somebody and they go and they take, if I have a contract with an employee and they go in and take contracts that were leads of mine, and they were in our trucks when they got them.
That's stealing.
and yeah, I'm going after them, and it's I'm upholding the contracts of the law, right? I don't want to I'm not, and I had to pray on this too because I'm like, vengeance is the Lord's, right? Like I want to take vengeance, like naturally me in the flesh, it's like, you know what, I want to go after him, right? But God wants justice. They do want justice, right? And then so that's what I'm going after. And I had another guy that came and took all my branch managers, and my branch managers are like a fiduciary duty. They run a business. They run the branch. They know exactly the day-to-day operations. They know internal workings of this business, and they had have contracts with them. They get paid well, and they get compensations from those branches. And one of the guys who was my friend since I was 7 went and hired them away from my three branches of mine. And so for 6 months, I've not done anything about it. But finally, it's been eating at me. And finally, the team, they came together and they said, hey, Garen, we took a vote on it. You need to go after these people. And I said, okay, because I'd spent a lot of money in the previous years fighting this lawsuit against Iowa, the state of Iowa, for what they consider a NUPA violation, which is really a violation of freedom of speech. And that's in front of the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals right now, where that could be a real game changer in the whole, it's federal court, so it's going to change the whole, it could be a bellwether case.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many lawsuits are you in right now?
3, 4, I mean, at any given time, I mean, there's probably 24, 25 different cases, and that's between either me, trying to get money from somebody.
Like homeowners?
But you got to remember, I'm doing 4,000 and 5,000 roofs a year, so that's not even 1%.
Of course.
So, and then the case against Iowa, in which that's just waiting, and that was for protecting the consumers, right? Because they were covering speech. They weren't allowing the contractor to talk to the homeowner, and the state's attorney general that represented their case said in court, and we can give you the soundbite for the audio. We overreacted. That they do have the ability to talk to homeowners about the process, because you couldn't even say the process. And
you're the contractor. What are we supposed to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, and we're the first line of defense when a storm. We don't make the storms, right? And the reason they try to make the Department of Insurance so heavy on the contractors is because we made their premiums go up. You guys have a bunch of storms. We all had a bunch of storms. Everybody did, right? And so everybody's insurance premiums went up. And it's not the contractor's fault. We're the first line of defense. They call us, we go out to the job, we tarp the roofs. We're risking our lives, our limbs, and we're to protect the homeowner. And they have insurance to take care of the homeowners. And as a project manager, I've seen it too many times where this 80-year-old or the newlywed couple who owns a home, the insurance doesn't even take care of them at all. Like you see tears in their eyes, right? Like they're like, I paid State Farm for 25 years, and you're telling me they're not going to cover my farm, and so. And then but I can't tell them the process. Like you need to do this, and that. And so what I said is, so that's why I decided to say, hey, look, who's representing the consumer here in the state of Iowa? And so nobody, right? They're getting lobbied by the insurance companies, the Department of Insurance, but nobody was taking care of the consumers. And that's when I decided to say, hey, look, you know what? This has gone too far, and they sent me a warning. We asked them what it was for, and it was because someone gave me a 5-star review on Google, and they said, "Thank you, Caleb, for helping me through the process. I really appreciate everything." and this is on Google, third-party speech by somebody else, and they came after me for a warning on that.
It makes no sense.
Sincerely, and so I'm like, this is way too much.
Are you gonna try to get your legal expenses covered?
No. I just want them to be corrected, and I feel validated already by that their attorney stating in there that we were wrong. The contractor does have the ability to talk to the consumer.
Sounds pretty extreme, yeah.
But what happened was they put a lot of businesses out of business already, and and a lot of families broke up over that. How do you put those businesses back together, and how do you put those families back together? By their overreaction, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, there should be some consequences to that. I haven't asked for any consequences. I just wanted to like, let's get the record straight here. Is this a freedom of speech situation, or what is this?
Well, who's your real competition, and what do they do truly better than you, if you have any?
You know, I've got competition that come from two different places. They're either smaller and nimbler, or
like owner operator.
Yeah, or they are. I would say ourselves is the biggest competition. If I could, you know, because I see, you know, the words on the street. We love eating Shamrock's crumbs. We love eating Shamrock's crumbs because of our own operations, right? Like because.
And you make mistake, yeah.
Yeah, because of our project managers, our lower half of the project managers, like they'll go after the easy things, the easy slam dunk roofs, versus going after something that may take a little bit more time, right? And so that's why I've got 4,000 dead leads, and I'm going through, these aren't dead leads, like, because we generate a lot of leads. And so we're working on constantly improving our processes. And so I try not to focus on like competitors versus focusing on ourselves. Like, you know, like our accounting department, why we had 83 days from approved to collections. And so we worked on that, and we found a way to shrink that down to.
Is that where you're bleeding money right now?
Yeah, it was money out on the streets that's owed to me, right? So we increasing our collections, our invoicing, and working on those processes. So,
what decision have you made this year that you're still not sure if it was right?
When you make big hires, you know, I'm hiring a president, right? Like, how do you know that person's the right person, right, to run an organization where you've got a lot of people that have been here for years that bleed Shamrock, you know? So those are like this decisions that I wonder. Decisions whether, you know, do I want to keep growing, or do I want to just sit back and normalize and just focus on the sanity number, the net profit, and just focus on building the net profit and growing that number. And so those are kind of my decisions that I've been focusing on, and really just more at this level, getting a peace of mind so I can have, because I've been going so hard and growing so much, you know, that it at some level, it's not quitting if you just step back and say, hey, I'm going to focus on my mental health, my family, you know, I've already made a mark in the roofing space, you know, but yeah, I think that's where those decisions.
Culture is easy to talk about and hard to keep. Talk to me about your culture. What culture at Shamrock look like?
Yeah, so our culture is, you know, them being with me through the heart transplant, and them seeing that growth, right? It created this this bond like of people that near death, you know, and so they've seen it's a culture of love, right? And I just wrote an article about it. You know, we lead with love, but don't get me wrong, I'm stern with these people as well, right? Because people take that kindness for granted a lot of times, and so, but the culture is like we missed our numbers. I still bought them a food truck so that they know that, hey, I know we missed our numbers, but we missed our numbers because we were building so many roofs. And so versus me yelling at them and getting onto them, you know, I'm working on a solution around that. It's not their fault. They were doing their jobs building all the roofs. It's my fault by not bringing in another solution, by bringing in a sales floor or a call center to call, you know, the customer care team to build that department up so they can call them and close them over the phone, you know, and then build up more of the production side. So if they're closed over the phone, I can send someone out there to go take care of the roof. That's kind of part of the culture, to where it's like everybody's working hard, and you know, so I don't want to say, like earlier I said, you know, they're lazy and complacent, but they were working hard. I mean, out in the sun, working till late, till close, till dark, and so they earned it. They earned their money, but we have a good culture. It's people will love to work here. Crews want to come here, and like they're literally stand in line. They know we pay on Fridays, and that if I've got trailers, they need them. I've got 5 and 4 and 6 inch gutter machines if they need them. I got, you know, all the equipment if they need them. So I try to make their lives easier too. You know, I've got the laddervators so that, you know, just to help them out. Just to be able to speed up everything. You know, like we talked about earlier, how quick can you get a roof on? Like, well, if it's holding up a real estate transaction, I'll get that roof on, you know, that next day. You can give me a check or have me paid at closing, so I know I'm getting paid. I'll have that roof put on.
You come, not like, I wouldn't call you a spender, but I see a lot of little things here that you spend a lot on the business, and I love it.
Yeah.
But my question is, if a buyer opened your books tomorrow, what would scare them and what would impress them about your spending? And
yeah, so they open my books, they would say that I have a lot of personal expense in it, you know, that could go down to the, not like me personally, but like the business. They would take away from the office expense, you know, probably some of the marketing expense, and that would go straight to the bottom line, increase the margins right away. Like I know that they could bump it up probably 3 to 5%, which is a lot.
yeah, oh yeah.
And
At this scale, yes.
and we spend a lot of money. I mean, you know, like there's no question. Like they're all on. A lot of them are on max. They want lunch. I'll get them lunch. They want. Buy them Starbucks. I'm getting them Starbucks. They want, you know, like even the meals and you know, hotel stays. Like each branch manager has a platinum Amex card that they go. I go, hey, go take the crew out for lunch. You know, go get them all together, because like the camaraderie. You know, like you got to keep the team together. You know, so
You're not afraid that people will take advantage of it, like stealing or?
I do, and I've gone through that. But
What's allowed?
shame.
What's not allowed? If I'm your manager, what's proper, like spend, like taking, like versus me taking someone on a date?
Yeah.
On a card.
Yeah, like if they're going out and go $500. Go take everybody out to dinner, or go do Top Golf, or go whatever, so they can do something fun. Like my guys in
What's not allowed?
when they go and spend it on themselves, and you know, because I've caught that too, where they go and spend it, Yeah, it's maybe at a gas station, right? But it wasn't just fuel. It was fuel for him, his wife, his, his other
That's
vehicle.
stealing
That's
now.
stealing. Yeah, that type of stuff. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Because most businesses, they try to cut down expenses, find leakage, and looks like you're going opposite direction. But I see a logic behind it. You're building a culture, you're building people. Interesting. Let's talk about industry. What's the single biggest change coming to the roofing in 5 years that most contractors are ignoring? What do you see like it's common and people just like no?
I think.
And also like on that you think about it, but do you think robots will be here in 5 years?
Yeah, robots. Well, I mean, we've got an example of one
Yeah.
out there now, and and AI is here, so AI is already going to be replacing the eagle views of the world, that type of
Do you
thing.
think so?
Yeah, because you're going to have AI measurements that are going to be done for, $5, a fraction, and because that's already kind of, I mean, now, pretty close, right? Like 15, $18 right now, right? Like, and we are integrated with Trusty, and they're pulling them right off, and they're moving over. It pulls out all the measurements and can create the order right away. So you're able to speed to lead, speed to estimating based off the AI measurements, speed to estimates, right? That's the big thing. Really, it's really not speed to lead, in my opinion. It's speed to estimate. That's the true number, because speed to lead is just one thing. But if it takes you, a week to get an estimate out to somebody, and you don't get an estimate out to somebody for them to even say yes, no, or maybe, well, you're losing right there.
I agree.
So in 5 years, I mean, look how fast AI has already changed just in a year. And then robotics is coming out, right? Easier, right? Even if it's, you're seeing some of the robots just doing the tear-offs, right? So say you got these just doing tear-offs. So all the crews got to go do now is go do install the roofs. I mean, so 5 years seems like a long time, but when you look back 5 years,
Oh yeah.
it goes.
It changes. It
Yeah.
goes quickly.
So I think a lot is changing. With drones and measurements, AI replaced a lot of the agents at State Farm, right? And now you're going to have all these drones going around there that can better take pictures of anomalies on roofs to say if it's going to be bought or not, right? Because the insurance company spend a ton of money on adjusters and desk adjusters and all that. I mean, all the money they spend on denying roofs, they could literally just pay for the roof after it's been damaged off of the hail trace, or whatever, they the NOAA storm map, and say, yeah, you're right, it was damaged. We'll let you know it was damaged. Here's a check. Get your roof put on. I mean, they would probably save more money than having all that infrastructure from a back end to have an adjuster, desk adjuster, Zachmator, to sit there and fight with you to deny your roofs,
I see that. What about private equity? Do you think it's good or bad for the industry that so many private equity bought so many companies?
I think private equity is very controversial. I think ultimately it's good because competition in the marketplace is good. It drives everybody to be better. So if and I'm not saying all PE companies are right, so that's a general statement. I've seen a lot of PE companies that come in and they wreck a lot of companies and wreck a lot of people's lives and businesses, right? But I think there are private equities or family office funds that come in that can be very, very beneficial in the roofing space, just like they did in the HVAC space. But it's all about having the right partner. A lot of these PE firms are coming in just on looking for a 3-year internal rate of return (IRR) to exit and to sell to a bigger company, right? And that model worked really well in like 21, 22 when their rates were at a negative rate essentially. Well, now some of those companies that were bought then, we have the higher interest rates. They're drowning in debt payments, right? Because they over levered. So you're going to see some of these companies that are, some of the top
The revenues are down, actually.
and revenues are down. They can't pay their interest on this, right? So they're going to, eventually get tired of funding them. I could say some names of top names right now who I think are going to go out of business that got bought out, and they're the the big PE firms right now, but the owners got paid. They didn't take care of their middle managers, and they left, and so companies kind of got gutted, and
Yep.
so, but I think that goes back to operational structure and how to bring the money in. So when you bring smart money in, you need to make sure it's really smart money, because a lot of people pretend to be smart money, but all they are is a thesis on an Excel spreadsheet by some kid from Harvard, Notre Dame, that doesn't understand the operations of the trades.
100%. Insurance game. So it's getting harder and harder for both homeowners and contractors. So where do you think it's going to end? What do you think the end goal for insurance companies? Do you think they cannot stop paying? What do you think going to happen with all the?
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal came out. When the Wall Street Journal came out with an article about, it's the flip of a coin is I think the article's name, but it was all the claims filed, they only pay out 50%. That's saying, like, look, that's not contractor fraud, like people just open up imaginary claims. That's a systematic insurance
We've been saying it for years.
denial. You're right. And so now they're under the spotlight, like by, with the Wall Street Journal, that's a very, pretty much liberal, paper, saying, look, this is messed up. And then my question goes even further. Why are we having insurance if it's not going to pay out? What is the mortgage companies going to do? Why are they demanding insurance on a home that's getting financed, right? But the mortgage company's not going to cover them. So if I was a mortgage company and I'm demanding you have insurance on your home, what's the point? Like I would be, if I'm a mortgage company, I would be like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and open my own insurance company. That way I know that the asset that I'm lending to you is going to be protected, is being taken care of. You know what I'm saying? Versus some illusory coverage, the illusion of having coverage, and you're paying premiums for year after year after year after year, only to not be covered.
Do you see more and more tension between manufacturers and contractors? Only asking because, obviously we don't always want the same thing, but where's the tension headed? Like, I do feel like recently, everybody says, oh, we're here to help manufacturers, suppliers, we're here to help. But what I see on the back end is both manufacturers and suppliers trying to milk the contractor. And I think, for so long they've been so aggressive, not only price increases, but like the billing, the actual behind the scenes. And contractors not paying their bills is a big problem too, but the tension is real.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the way that's structured is we work for them. They created a system where they're controlling prices. The top three, they get together,
You think they do?
Well, I don't believe in coincidences. And, I'm not coming here with the, I got him.
Yeah, there's
but,
no bombshell, but
yeah, but I mean, I can see through BS, right? And and the prices constantly increase. Well, oil just went down, right? Like the Strait of Hormuz opened up, like oil went down. I've never seen my shingles decrease, my prices decrease ever. And so, so yes, there's that friction, and also they're getting vertically integrated now. Like QXO, they went and bought a roofing company.
Why do you think they did that?
I don't know, but as soon as they did that, I called my warehouse direct, said, hey, well, I want to buy direct from you then. Wow, Garen, I can't do that because then I lose this. Well, I'm like, they're buying roofing contractors, they're getting in my lane. I want to circumvent my supplier and go straight to you. So, I didn't get a call back. I left a voicemail, but
Interesting.
So yeah, no, there is that friction, and they've rolled up so many, and because that's where the money's at, because the suppliers are making a lot of money off the manufacturers. I mean, off the contractors, and yeah, they're fronting people lines of credit, right? So that's how much money there is on it. So it's like, dude, and if a contractor doesn't pay their bill, right, because they got more money than they ever had because they got this money, where it's really the supplier's money, and then they don't get paid, right? But they know that too, because they're playing a big accounting actuary. Ultimately, they're making bets that. So they're.
Do you think that could be part of the problem, that they do too many credit lines? Because I've heard that opinion. There's so many, like ABC actually, the worst. Like their bill, like it's easiest to get a credit. They have the biggest number of bad debt, but they're also the most expensive. And I think one of the reasons is, like, if you have, let's say, 5% of contractors who are not paying their bills, because we hear it, like $2 million, $3 million, like dismissals through bankruptcies. Someone has to eat. Money has to come from somewhere.
Diana Hendricks is the wealthiest woman in the world, and she owns ABC. So if somebody didn't pay her $2 million because they gave her a line of credit, she's not hurting. They know what they're doing.
True. But they're passing it to us.
They're passing it to us, and like
We're
contractors
picking up.
traditionally, their business acumen level isn't like the highest. So they're getting $2 million line of credit or whatever, and then maybe not managing it correctly, right?
Sure.
And then they're pretty strong on collections. I mean, ABC, as big as they shut me off for $40. Like I had like the reps calling them. Yeah, it was a mistake, but like I'm in like one of their biggest accounts.
Wow.
Oh, we're sorry. I bet you're sorry. You spend like all this money on like Chiefs tickets and take us all out for all these events and dinners and whatever. And then I tell that story to like QXO or whatever, and they're like, Garen, I'd have paid that $40 for you. I'm like, I don't care. It's not the $40. It's the fact that you're that quick to do that. But
Interesting. What's one trend that's overrated in the roofing industry?
A trend that's overrated.
That's something that everybody's chasing, but it's just not there.
I think the fear of MRPs, managed repair program, because yes, managed repair programs are there, but they're not effective long term. I've seen a lot of MRP companies go out of business. People can't live on that low amount of money that comes from the MRPs. So I think that's a real, that model's not worked. People want to keep coming and shouting from the rooftops that, oh, MRPs are coming, and that's going to put contractors out of business. And I've met a lot of people, like Dustin. We had dinner yesterday, and you brought up Dustin.
Dustin Bigler,
Bigler,
Apple Roofing.
Apple Roofing. And it must, and that was the place I had dinner with them. And Spirit must have been there with you when you brought him up. And I was thinking about that last night. I was like, man, that's really cool because I looked up to him. He was a great guy. Yeah. And he's like, Garen, yeah, we do these MRPs, but only reason we do it is because it opens up these other neighborhoods that we know where there's damage at, and then we're able to get in there and then get our other teams in there to open up deals. Other than that, it's just kind of feeder for us because there's zero money in it for us, And so I remember him saying that, and
it was years ago. I think it's only got worse, but yeah.
Yeah.
Good memory. All right, brother. Rapid fire. We're gonna close it. So you can answer as short as possible, or take your time if you want to. Best business decision you ever made?
Best business decision I've ever made was create my own software to run the operations on, so that I can control the whole ecosystem, as well as buy the buildings, and so that I can control the whole ecosystem.
Invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself, as well as the inventory, because there's been multiple times where when COVID happened and you couldn't get inventory, or something happened, and it's just best to be able to control your own destiny and invest in yourself and invest in your
When we were driving, you mentioned something about IQ-links, that they were billing you for users, dead users, right?
Right.
It's funny because I made a post yesterday, I showed it, and so many people said the same things. A couple of people defended, they're like, Derek Klein, I think, said if it's too good, if it's too powerful, if it's his argument was, if the system or the product is too good and you only use a fraction, it isn't your problem, or is the product problem? And my argument with him was well, what about if you're charging for the seats that are not there? And even if I tell, what's your problem with the IQ-links?
Yeah. So one, we got to the point where we outgrew AccuLinks, right? It's a filing cabinet that was
at
just
the peak. How much were you paying?
$600,000 a year.
Wow.
And what it does is it traps you in their system operating procedures, right? And it's really only designed for your project managers. We had everybody using it, right? But when you run an organization like this, there's other things you want to see. You want to see what's going on in your marketing, what's going on with, there's a lot of different elements and maps and graphs and data points that it just doesn't pull into. And so that's why we
advertises it.
Well, right. It also advertises it that it charges you by the seat.
So what happened there?
So they weren't charging me by the seat. Over the last several months, I've tried to keep 5 seats open so that I can just have historical data because of the lawsuits, because of pictures and whatever, you know what I mean? And that's the same thing that's been submitted to courts, right? And so I've got my 5 licenses. Charge me my 5 licenses. I'm happy to pay you for your 5 licenses. Well, but I've got my own. I've got a revenue operating system. It's more of an ERP because it pulls all the financial information in. It pulls all marketing in. It's not just a CRM, right? Mine's something completely different. Their thing is, well, you got basically a competing whatever. So you're violating the terms of our conditions. I thought, well, you violated the terms of our conditions by overcharging me, $40,000 when I only have 5 licenses, So
they're charging you for
I literally
$40,000 for 5 licenses?
Yeah.
A month.
That's
crazy.
So I had a dialogue with the CEO. I said, hey man, we'll make it really easy. Charge me for the 5. I'll pay you for the 5. You don't sue me, I won't sue you. We'll let it go. He didn't respond. And so I kind of have a
Well,
feeling.
time to respond, Alex. I think it's a pretty fair deal, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's gonna probably be.
And they like to sue people.
They love to sue people, and apparently that's okay because so do I.
Wow. The worst hire and what it cost you.
Oh wow, I've got a couple worst hires, and I've had the worst hire. I don't want I don't want to say anybody's name out of
That's fine,
honor,
that's fine.
buddy.
I'm not asking for the name.
But the worst hire would probably be just a couple different ones. Was somebody that had worked for me that built up some markets, and little
Left.
and left, and left me with these markets to deal with, and took people that were under contract with fiduciary duties and took contracts. So
That's tough.
yeah. So that's it's that was your friend. So so it's a betrayal from a friendship betrayal. It's legally it's a contract theft or whatever. So those are two of the things.
One book, person, or moment that changed your journey.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill's Think or Grow Rich, and I've read that multiple times. I try to read it like once a year, and Anthony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within.
What do you think your kids to take from watching you build this company?
They've seen me. They've got to be rewards of the fruit of the labor, but they've got to see the stress of me dealing with this stress through the hard times, through the winter, through the payroll, so they know like what it's like to be an entrepreneur. But they also see like the rewards of it, but they know the sacrifices that come with it. So they've got the entrepreneurial spirit. They know how the world works, right? And so they know Dad works a lot. They know Dad sacrifices a lot for people. And but I think at this point in life, like Aspen, my older daughter, she sees me, and she's like, "Dad, it's time. Like, you need to just relax. You need to step back."
I agree with her. Advice to the 25-year-old who just starting a company.
Congratulations, you got the best industry in the world, and focus on being the best and learning as much as you possibly can in this space, and embrace the technology that's there now. Lean into it, and be efficient as possible. And that way you can use the technologies, hire less. I mean, you want humans, right? But like, humans can let you down and betray you and everything else. So if your back office can be more efficient as possible, and you got a team of people that are selling, and get yourself a solid admin operations person first, so that you can duplicate yourself, and then hire as many project managers as possible, and invest heavily on investment and education in your people, and then care about. It doesn't matter how much you know until they know how much you care, and so you got to be caring for your customer. You got to care for your customer, and then they'll care how much you know.
Howard, when you're all done with this, when you decide to move to another thing, what do you think you want industry to remember you for, to say about Garen Armstrong?
Oh, that's a good question. I would like them to think that, one, he raised the level standard for the industry, that the people to strive to to be at the level of and that he really cared about the people, and to leave the impact on the people that I touch is really my goal after the heart transplant, and to let my light shine. And so that's what I want Shamrock to do, is just in each community that we're in, let our light shine.
Love it. If you would sell this company tomorrow, what would you do with your life?
I would probably have to. I would be all in on. Well, I don't know. I need to spend some time with my kids. I would spend some time on just reflecting. I honestly haven't had time to grieve my dad's passing, or grieve the fact of my own heart transplant, because I've been in it. Like, there was payroll the following week, so I haven't had a chance. I've been outrunning the traumas of my life growing this. So I would take some time to kind of digest and heal from that, and focus on the family office of the businesses that's remaining left in the trust, and focus on that, and so I can spend time with my kids on teaching them how to invest, be entrepreneurial, and grow their lives, because I missed out on a lot of it because I've been so busy focused on growing this.
Got it. What question do you wish people asked but never do?
That's a good question. About I don't know. I'd say, like, when people leave, people hire somebody else, and they don't even ask, like, a resume. They just go hire someone as a body. That's like one thing. Like, if someone would call me, I'd say, hey, yeah, he's a good guy, or hey, yeah, watch out for that guy, or whatever. But that's one thing. But person is more of like a personal, like, impactful question. Like, what changes? Like, I would say, like, the secret of success. What's my secret of success? And I would say, I think that it's God's favor showing out in my life, because there's a lot of people that work their butt off as hard as I do too, and they're like, why am I stuck at 5 million? You know what I mean? And God saved. I had 5 surgeries on my leg from almost amputating of that. I had 5 surgeries on my heart. I had the heart pump ripped out of my heart because I was throwing back shingles. They had to cut me back open, sew the pump back in my heart, all of that. And then after I got the heart transplant, the valve went bad. They had to cut me back open and replace a valve. So this is the first year that I haven't had a surgery, knock on wood. And so, again, outrunning the trauma. So it's, I would say it's God's favor on my life. Like, that's why I'm so, I'm not a Bible thumper, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that God's favor on me and what He's done in my life and in others is a real thing.
Agree. Last question. Finish the phrase. Roofing taught me that.
Roofing taught me so much about people and human nature. Roofing taught me more about people and human nature than anything else in life has ever taught me, from start to finish.
Brother, it was amazing. You're an amazing leader. I've seen it through your people. I've seen the impact you're making. You're very fun to watch from outside in. I mean, we met at conferences. I'll say this, in the industry, I have several people. Dustin Bigler was one of them. You're another. Like, very few who don't make a lot of noise, don't speak a lot. They're like kind of quiet, but loud with their quietness. I mean, you have podcasts, you're outspoken, obviously, but you're not seeking attention. You're in the trenches doing it, and it's fun to watch. You don't tell people what you're gonna do. You just go and do it, and it's incredible to watch. So thank you for inspiration, my personal inspiration. Every time we come with Igor, when we go back, we're like, this was inspiring. Like, because Igor told me yesterday, he said, so last week we were in St. Louis with Total Roofing. Today we're here. He's like, we've done it. We've been over 200 companies. It's all the same. It's all the same. Every roofing company have the same elements. I mean, think about it, like coming up with the 30, 40 questions for every podcast
Right.
with the roofers when you've done it 500 times.
Right.
But I personally get motivated when I see the success, the building. You go home, it's like, you know, me and Igor were like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You want to build because you see the example in front of you, you see what's possible, and it inspires you to do something similar, maybe in a different field even. So you're inspiration, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank you because when I was taking over the transition in 2016 and 2017, I remember your channel, like you'd had your whiteboard, your piece of paper, and I remember like I would study the market, what channels are you using, how's it working out, every episode, you know, and so I remember how you built out your Facebook page. He was on Anthony
America.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, so that's how I found you on it. So and so literally, so yeah, so thank
stuff,
you,
brother.
Yeah.
Now let's
Yeah.
go see this game.
Yeah, let's go out and games. Be good.